You were taken by surprise. I guess a lot of Swiss competitors were taken by surprise.
They were scared.
And it started probably a race for chronograph movements.
Welcome or welcome back to WatchAdvisor on YouTube, where the watches are the stars. Today my star is Wilhelm Schmidt, the CEO of Lange Söhne. Wilhelm, a very warm welcome.
Alexander, as always, good to see you. It's a good tradition, isn't it, in
yes.
the meantime?
And of course we have our Royal Bush tea.
Absolutely.
For those who follow our little conversations coming from Watches and Wonders, former SIHH, Royal Bush tea was always part of it. It's still here, we're enjoying it.
And we can also share with you, probably after the tea, we have the other thing. After the hot tea, maybe a cold beer?
Yes.
I think that's a good idea.
Don't forget to subscribe and to hit the bell to get our latest notifications.
Let's go in medias res. 1999, when I look back, was a year when Günter Blümlein showed me a watch. He had it covered with something and said, I need to show you something. And then all of a sudden he took it away and we all were like paralyzed looking on something we hadn't expected at all.
Yeah.
And this wasn't a sensation yet because he was wearing it on his wrist. But then he took it off his wrist and he turned it around, and then I can tell you, a group of journalists was speechless. It was like in a church, no one was talking. Silent, completely, because it was incredible. And this datograph is 25 years young, I said, not old, it's young, and has become one of your main pillars in terms of...
It is, yeah, really.
It's the recognition of the brand in a way also.
I wasn't there, I only came 2010, as you know. But if you go back in history, I assume in 1999, because you were taken by surprise, I guess a lot of Swiss competitors were taken by surprise.
They were scared.
And it started probably a race for chronograph movements. So I think the datograph in this case really started a new journey for chronographs. And I think that just underlines the importance of the datograph. Not only for us, but also for fine watchmaking and that part of the market. Some journalists always ask that mean question, what is your favorite watch? Which is like the favorite child, which is also difficult and tricky to answer. But I always have the same answer to this. It's actually the datograph up and down, because I came in December 2010. That watch was launched in January 2012. So it was the first watch where I was really deeply involved into. Yeah. And the first always has a special place in your heart. So datograph, also for me, is very important.
Funny anecdote I have to tell. We're doing lots of Instagram. Meanwhile, the community asked me questions, and the community asked me, which is your favorite Lange Söhne watch? And this clip is online, and I am sitting comfortably on a sofa and I'm talking about the datograph.
Yeah.
Really celebrating the datograph in the sense I'm saying, the only really flaw of the watch is that you can't wear it the other way around.
Yeah.
This is the only thing.
But if you think about it, you can share it with people that you like sharing it with.
Yeah.
You shouldn't do difficult.
That. Yeah.
And that's probably also nice. Yeah. So it's a secret until you unveil it.
That's true.
There's a big debate, internal as external, amongst collectors and even within the manufacturer, about the most beautiful movement we have. And, the double split and the triple split are top favorites. My favorite is actually the one that we launched at the Watches and Wonders, the Datograph Tourbillon Perpetual Calendar Luminous and Honey Gold. But the movement of the Datograph Tourbillon Perpetual, for me personally, that's it. I love the triple split, and I love the double split, and I love the datograph, but they all don't have that massive tourbillon. And that just gives it away for me. I mean, that's
beauty.
It's sheer beauty.
Yeah.
The design is really beautiful.
Yeah. Let me ask you the question, why did you choose luminous as a theme for celebrating the 25th anniversary of that watch?
Actually, we launched two watches.
Yeah, I know, the white gold version with the blue dye.
Exactly.
But this is really the celebrating piece.
You've been to that little room that we created there. And for me, that's the best way of explaining it. You go there and you see a showcase with a lineup of our chronographs, a lineup of tourbillons, a lineup of perpetual calendars, different versions of the honey gold, and then in one room all the lumen watches, or you have it all in one watch. Small showcase, and here is the Datograph with whatever all the other watches in just one watch.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that's very hard to beat. Put everything which collectors want at that level. You work for collectors. They have probably everything else, but that combination is fairly unique.
And I imagine that collectors line up to get one.
It's it's a luxurious problem to have, Alex.
Of course, but if you are in the position to be able to buy such a watch for the money, I think you have to come early, be one of the first. Smile nicely, to get one. And
you know, we're pretty sure this watch will go to good wrists.
No, I'm 100% sure. Anyhow, the production is limited.
Yeah.
Also not only due to the fact that you do limit it, but the problem is you have to manufacture them, and you always have to consider the fact that such a complex watch takes to finish those pieces maybe 3 years.
Good guess.
Yeah.
Exactly. If nothing happens, and you know, potentially that's why they call it complications. There's always something which you thought you have under control, and then you don't. So 3 years, and you're right, it's a capacity challenge. Not the overall capacity, but the capacity of people, of watchmaker that can really assemble a watch like this.
Yeah.
And that's not like, you know, we have great watchmaker, but not everybody can, you know, get to that level of fine watchmaking.
And then you have the problem. Then you have the challenge that meanwhile you are thinking about other complications that maybe will be launched next year or the year after, and then you need those watchmakers again, so they have to...
We're not short of ideas.
I imagine. But you have to celebrate those 25 years anyhow.
That's it. And I think the two watches, you know that we're not great with color. We're not known for a company that gives colors on everything. And the blue is a typical blue. You can find it on the Odysseus, on the triple split. It goes back to the watches that Mr. Blümlein launched in the late 90s.
Yes.
You know, the first
Platinum was always blue.
And this blue is quite specific for us, and it's always the same blue. And that's the first time that we launch a Datograph with a blue dial.
It's a beautiful watch.
It is actually. If you're just like me now,
or me today,
that's perfect.
Okay, we get one after the interview, but this
absolutely
okay. This is what the journalists, when they do interviews with the CEO, get.
Yes,
and that's
is that true?
It's a giveaway.
I'll become a journalist very quickly.
Okay, it's a giveaway here.
Wilhelm, let me interrupt you for just a few minutes and give me the chance to present you guys out there watching this video another exclusive limited edition of the Datograph that was not presented during Watches and Wonders. It was presented only a couple weeks ago. This particular limited, also to 25 pieces only, is the Datograph HandwCon. And for all of you who are a little bit aware of Lange Söhne, know that in 2011, the attribute HandwCon has been used to identify exclusive special limited edition watches whose dials and movements are adorned with particularly elaborate decorations. Okay, and what's particular on this watch? The black rhodiumed main dial, as well as the rhodiumed light gray totalizers of the Datograph HandwCon. Nice name, Datograph HandwCon. Feature an ornate tremblage engraving, resulting in a three-dimensional structure with subtle light reflections. Looking gorgeous, I can tell you, looking really gorgeous. For this technique, the engraver uses a specially crafted lining burin to create a fine-grained surface. So good so far. The challenge presented here is to not only achieve a uniform texture on the smallest of planes, but to simultaneously preserve certain dial elements, such as the arch brand logo, the minutes, seconds graduations, as well as the tachymeter scale of the chronograph, together with the subsidiary dials that were moved downwards slightly and the aperture of the outsize date. They remain clearly visible with their sculpted contours of the relief engraving and contrast crisply against the dark background of the dial. Clear? Everything clear? In a first step, the edges of the appliques and Roman numerals are chamfered and the surfaces are decorated with a straight graining. In a second step, that requires great, I would say, exceptional diligence, they are placed on the dial, and the hands of this HandwCon edition showcase meticulously executed circumferential chamfers and straight grainings. In one word, just wow! It's not only the dial, it's of course also the movement that is being decorated in a particular way. And here in this case, for example, the finishers, they do decorate the calibre L951.8, black polish the surfaces of the chronograph levers, a particularly time-consuming and rare technique. It ensures that incident light is reflected in merely one single direction. So viewed from this perspective, only the surface of the levers appear to be jet black, yet seen from all other angles, it has a mirror-like gloss. This is the second part of this particular watch and some of the executions they applied to make this a HandwCon Datograph. The Datograph HandwCon will be only sold in a limited edition of 25 pieces. I said this before. The case has a diameter of 41 millimeters and a thickness of 13.1 millimeters. It's a yellow gold case and it will be available only through Lange Söhne boutiques. And just in case you're wondering what this word HandwCon, I'm pronouncing correctly in German, means, in English it's craftsmanship, of course.
Besides this, are you encountering also what the entire industry encounters, that you have problems with deliveries? And there's so many things that are not running as they should run. I hear it from everyone that there are bottlenecks, small bottlenecks.
It's less of a problem within the production, I admit. You know, we have that fairly under control. Okay. There's always the odd dial that doesn't arrive in time or not in line with the quality
I hear it from everybody that...
but I think we manage.
Okay.
Transportation, logistic, it takes longer and longer, and customs takes longer and longer, and not so much with the new watches, but sometimes people complain because they can't get their after-sales watches back. But matter of fact is, sometimes it takes up to 3 weeks only to ship the watch from the US to us.
Oh, my goodness.
And that has not been the case before Corona. So there are a few things that we need to understand, maybe find a workaround that we haven't found yet. But overall, the supplier industry has been as good or as bad as ever. I don't think it has changed.
Then apparently you are more relaxed than the others. So guys, if you're waiting for a watch, this is not an issue here.
No, we have other issues.
Imagine not being able to deliver the quantities and watches or everybody wants to have somewhere around the world.
Look, it's very easy for us. As I said, we have capacity for about 5,000 watches in the different field of competence, from very complicated to more simple.
Basics, yeah.
And that's what we juggle with. We reduced the amount of simple watches because we moved that capacity to more complex watches, and that more complex to complex, and then to high complex watches. But it's a process, and in the beginning, believe it or not, it does cost capacity, because if you take somebody away from a movement he or she understands and puts him or her on a new movement, there's a learning curve, and in those days or months, efficiency is not great. However, it had to be done. So that's what we did in the last 18 months quite successfully. It's still work in progress. Yeah. And that's what we have to work with. At the same time where we increase our capacity, fresh watchmaker coming from our apprenticeship training and so on and so forth, we increase the average hour that we put into a watch. So, in total, the numbers will still be the same because we manufacture in total more complex watches.
But I think those 5,000 watches is what it is.
There's not a lot we can do, actually. Right. It's not artificially generated.
No.
I'd be the first, I'm a business person, so first and foremost, I would love to have more watches, but that there's limit to what hands can do a day, skilled hands. And I always say, Alexander, we work with the rarest resource you have today on the planet, which is not gold or platinum or diamond. It's actually skilled hands. That's the rarest resource on the planet. And you have to nurture them. You have to help them to get better every day. You have to give them a great environment. You have to treat them very well. And then they work with pleasure. And you've been many times with us. You know that the ethos of our people is really top-notch.
And they're proud to be part of the Lange family.
Absolutely.
I know that.
But there is a limit to what they can do. And the limit is 8 hours and 5 days. And that gives the number of watches we are able to produce a year. And that's what we have to live with.
That's how it is. So if someone was waiting for an announcement that Lange Söhne will ramp up to 10,000 watches, won't happen.
No, I don't think so.
Maybe when we are not there anymore, someone else, but...
not in my time, I can assure you this, because I fundamentally believe in what we do and that it's worth protecting how we do things.
Yeah, of course.
And this is why we are here. This is why our clients like what we do. And if we start taking shortcuts, we have very educated clients. They will catch us quickly.
Yeah.
And they will forgive us a lot. They will forgive us that they wait for watches. They will forgive us that sometimes they can't get it at all. But I don't think they will be easy in forgiving if we reduce quality or take shortcuts.
No, you can't. You can't. And when you were saying that, you're moving upwards to more complicated watches, has there ever been an uncomplicated watch? If I look behind the scenery, even the entry watch.
The quality is always the same. We don't distinguish. However, more parts, more time to develop, more time that you have to give to assemble the watch. And of course, if you assemble something like this, it takes you a month. If you take a Saxonia thin, it may take you a week. So there are differences.
Of course. But it's still complicated.
Oh, yes.
And it has to be, as you just said, at the Lange level, and there is
the Lange Söhne. It's not like anything else.
Willem, wonderful.
Thank you, Alex.
We're going now to swap over and have a Radeberger beer, and we will salute the Datograph.
Yes, please.
And as you said, you have been pushing the word chronograph, as it was seen before, to something not yet seen and to another level.
Yeah.
And everybody in the industry suddenly had to adopt and say, okay, we can't continue doing banal or what they have been doing before.
Yeah.
They're all to push. And
great fueled the creativity of the whole industry.
yeah, never stand still.
Exactly. And now let's have a beer.
We do. Guys, thanks for watching. Willem Schmidt, the star of this video. Comments are welcome. What do you think about the Datograph? Do you have one? Have you seen one? Your comments are mostly welcome. Share them with us. And if you wish to celebrate with us, maybe a short note, happy birthday or something like this, would be fine. I'm looking forward on these comments. Thanks for watching once again. WatchAdvisor is your source, coming from Watches and Wonders 2024, but not only from there. We are watches.
Thank you. That's a very good word. Prost.
Prost. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.